Welcome, welcome, welcome in. Welcome in. Welcome to the Roots Rundown. I am your host today, Payron Baxter. Today is July 23rd, 2026, and we have a good episode for y'all. I hope y'all are excited. Hope y'all are ready. We have a guest on the program, which I'm going to excited to introduce here in a few seconds, a few moments before we do our after we do our housekeeping. Today's episode is titled Unapologetic. My guest today is quite unapologetic. And if y'all know me and y'all watch the show, you know I'm also quite unapologetic. And we finna have an unapologetic ass conversation. So please make sure you strap in and you're ready. And also join the chat. Make sure we want to hear your questions, your thoughts, your feelings, your perspectives. Because again, this is a global classroom. It's not just Payron teaching you or you teaching Payrons. It's all of us teaching each other in horizontal education. And we're gonna get into all that as well. Before we get started, again, as always, I like to say, I'm a terrible capitalist. Please make sure you like, share, and subscribe to Radical Roots podcast and platform. It allows us to maintain our viewership. And of course, we want to engage with as many people as possible because that is how we grow. And we want to do this organically. We don't have big, investors or benefactors. And if you want independent media, you got to have independent donors and independent people who want to see you succeed. And that's why we need you all. So y'all see here is our QR code. If you could screenshot that, send us a couple bucks. It allows us to maintain this really cool platform as well. So we can keep doing what we do. Again, y'all want independent media. We need independent donations from independent people. So please make sure you help out the Radical Roots and the Roots Rundown. So that is one thing that we are geared up for. And as you all know, the topics that we get into on our show can be a bit much. I take off the screen. It can be a bit much. It can be a bit, up there and a little heady. So we like to do this tradition I got from Larry Daniel Favors from Sirius XM 126 Urban View Radio, which is the moment of gratitude. I don't know what's consuming you. I don't know it's occupying your mind or your time, but it's very important for us to be able to reset as we engage with some of these heavy topics. Because of course we deal with everything at the intersections of race, law, politics, gender, and all things in between, right? In pop culture. So before we get into any of that stuff, we want to do our moment of gratitude. And again, and the reason we call it the moment of gratitude, because when your body and your mind and spirit is consumed with gratitude, you can't be consumed with fear or being small or feeling like you're not able to be in this fight, because we need all of us to be at 100% to go into this fight. So in a few seconds, we're going to hear from the beautiful chorus or song called Breathe It In. And as we listen, please shut your eyes, take deep breaths, and then we're going to do this reset. Just listen to the song, breathe it in and let it out. So here we go in 3, 2, 1. That's right, folks. That's right. It's so important. We got to do it every day, and every day we do it, because that is how we make sure that you are healthy. You are in the right state of mind as we engage in these very, very harsh, not even harsh topics, but just real topics. All right, all right. So that was a moment of gratitude. So I'm going to invite. It's Thursday, y'all. Y'all know how I get on Thursdays. I'm going to introduce our guest. Her name is Selina X. She's local here to Union County, along here with me. Sometimes we have guests from all over the country. This is another local one. We've had other local folks on as well, and they've always been fantastic conversations, because this is the boots on the ground. These are the people who have been doing the work for decades and generations and know the ins and outs. Because some people like to say all politics is local, which is true, but at the same time, being Black is political. So this is someone who has a firm understanding of what that means. She's been an advocate. She's been a fighter. She's been an activist. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, saints and ain'ts, everybody, let's welcome on Selina X. Selina. There she is, Selina. What's up, Selina?
Listen, not much.
How are you doing?
I can't complain. Even if I could, I wouldn't.
That's right. And
Mhm.
and the folks that you complaining to, if they're listening, they can't help you either way. Well, welcome in. I'm so glad to see you. I've been waiting to do this conversation for a long time. Again, like I told you in the email, I was like, I've been meaning to have you on for a while ago, but time gets away from you. You get someone else. You know how it is.
Yeah,
But
divine time.
just to give folks a quick backstory on yourself, if you don't mind, just let introduce yourself to the folks. Let us know who you are, what you're about, and then we'll go into maybe how we met.
Absolutely. I again am Selina X, formerly Selena Campbell. Um, I've been doing this work for about 15 years now, and I do it unapologetically because I love us. Um, I have ran into Payron on, different circles and situations where we have been very in depth in the community as far as political and just doing boots on the ground work. I work heavily with the I want to say underserved community. I like to focus on de escalation, conflict resolution, gun violence, because the mother in me, I can't just stand by watching our babies die, at the hands of each other or this wicked system.
That's right.
So that's really it about me.
Awesome, awesome. All right. Well, I mean, so again, and this is, I'm not saying you're breaking news here, but to me, it's breaking news. So you changed your name from Selena Campbell to Selena X. Walk us through that. I mean, that's pretty big. That's pretty monumental news. What was the cause of the change?
So again, a lot of my work has been on the ground, and I'm a very spiritual person, right?
Hmm.
And with my work, I like to deal with spiritual men. So I didn't grow up in any religious, to be honest with you.
Hmm.
So as I started doing my work in the community and surrounded myself with different men of faith and um, preachers and things of that nature,
Hmm.
something clicked in me and said, you know what? The Nation of Islam had it right all along.
Hmm.
And so at that point, that's when I start visiting the mosque. I would go faithfully every Sunday, listen to the teachings. And the more that I went, the more I got pulled into it because I'm like, they on the right path.
Mm.
And I think oftentimes people get scared when they hear Farrakhan. They get scared when they hear the Nation of Islam. And
Hmm.
that's one of the things that um, disappointed me
Mm.
because they've always come in peace but with truth.
That's right.
And so during that I finally became registered on
Wow.
July 5th.
Oh, so
And
recent. Okay.
yes, very recent. And I finally have my ex, which I dropped my slave name of Campbell, so now I'm Selena X.
I love that. I love that. I love that. Now, eventually, of course, Malcolm became El Shabazz. Am I getting it right? Is El Shabazz Malik? Am I getting that right?
Honestly, I'm not sure.
Well, I mean, so my point is, he eventually took on an Arabic name. Is that the
Mhm.
goal, or is it just Selena X?
My goal is to be Selena X one day if I find me a mate, become a Muhammad.
I hear that. I hear that. Yeah, let me make sure I got this right here. Yeah, he eventually became El Haj Malik El Shabazz. And I knew it was I knew L was in there. Okay,
Mhm.
well, cool. Well, so so yeah, you've been doing a lot of political work. You also have your own show, right? Your own sort of medium in media connection. Tell us about that.
Well, so it's table talk. And that also happened organically. A lot of people don't realize, but I'm really not a talker at heart. It's like I was kind of forced into this. And so one of my mentor, Brother Malik Ahmed, he had came down here to visit me. And during that visit, we sat, he cooked me a dinner. And as we were talking, he said, you know what? This is where Better Family Life started at, here at the kitchen table.
Hmm.
And it sparked something into me. I was like, man, that's what I'm gonna do in the community. We're gonna have kitchen table talk because I realize once you break bread, once you eat, once you start, fellowshipping, the
That's right.
conversation breaks down easily and you're able to have different difficult conversations. And so that was my goal, is to sit down with different people in the community, have real conversations so we can make real change and be unapologetic about it because we need to not only walk in truth, but we need to do it out loud, because you
Mm,
can have all of these talks at the kitchen tables, but if it's not getting out there and you ain't doing nothing, what good is it? And
mm.
so that's what made me start the table talks, and it has been very successful thus far, and I appreciate every local person who has come on the show, because that's where my power comes from. It comes from my local community,
Right.
people who are willing to be unafraid and have these conversations out loud. And I was very blessed and honored to have my first guest, David Banner, and
Yeah,
that meant
yeah.
so much to me, you know.
Let's get into this. Yeah, so David Banner. I mean, this is David Banner, Banner. That David Banner, y'all. From the Am I Crooked letter. Uh,
Yes.
so how did that come about? That's pretty cool. I mean, and it's a very powerful moment. But how did that come about? How was it?
It was great. He was down to earth. It felt like I was talking to my brother and not a celebrity. The
Right.
conversation was very organic, but that was also divine. I
Mm,
hadn't planned it. You
mm,
know, one of the things that I said is, I said, I want to start investing in my table talks. And so I remember making a post on Facebook. I said, if I can get my Muslim brothers, my Hebrew Israelite brothers, and my Christian brothers to the table, and
hmm.
David Banner, I'll shut up and leave y'all alone, right? And so I got my brothers to the table. I got my Islam brother, I got my Christian brother, I got my Hebrew Israelite brother at the kitchen table. We fellowship, had a good talk. So that was the beginning.
Hmm.
And then I said, okay, all right, that's one check. Now let me see if I can get David Banner. No lie. I emailed his production team. Again, I don't know what I'm doing, y'all. I don't know how to get no
Hey,
select.
right. Look,
Everything that I'm doing is
shut up,
very
y'all. We out here just
organic.
doing stuff.
Yeah,
Right.
we're just
Exactly.
doing it.
Just shut up and listen. You listen. You listen when we talk. No, I'm joking. Go ahead.
And so I emailed, and his manager Regina, she responded. So we start talking or whatever, communicating through email, and she
Hmm.
was like, well, send me a proposal. I'm like, bet. So I typed a proposal and sent it to her. She was like, all right, we can move on to the next one. She said, well, when do you want to do it? And mind you, the whole time I had not talked to Regina. I'm in my mind, I'm thinking this is still unreal, right? I'm
Right.
I'm,
Ain't no
I'm
way.
thinking this is unreal. Yeah, this ain't no way. So I just picked a date out the air. Mind you, I hadn't planned nothing, because I picked June 27th. Don't ask me why, but that just came out the
It
air.
came to you, right.
And then the ball just kept going. And I was like, I was telling my sister, I was like, man, this still can't be real. And so one day I just picked up the phone and I called Regina. I was like, hello, my name is Selina Campbell. We've been corresponding through email. I said, but I just want to hear a voice to make sure I ain't getting scammed. And she busted up laughing. She
Because you know
said,
how
you
we
know
are.
what?
You know how we look.
Yeah,
You got to double check. You know, David. It might be David Banner that works at McDonald's. You don't know, right?
exactly.
Yeah, right.
And I knew I was gonna have to come out some money, but I'm like, man, can't nobody every dollar I got count. I ain't got
Right.
much. You know what I'm
Right.
saying?
Right.
I'm
Right.
totally grassroots. I ain't got
Absolutely.
no grants or nothing. And
Absolutely.
so and so she was like, she started laughing. She said, you know what? I usually don't answer my phone. She said, but something said pick up. And she
Mm,
said, no, you're not getting scammed. She said, it's real. Right.
mm,
And so I was like, well, thank you for easing my mind. And then we just started going
right.
through the process. But again, it still didn't feel real.
I
So as we
believe
were
it.
going through replanning, again, I really hadn't planned much. I wasn't going to open it up to the public, because I usually just do with me and my guests. But something said kind of open up to the public or whatever. And
Hmm.
so it didn't become real until he pulled up to my house and we sat at the table.
That's awesome.
That's when it finally became real.
That is
Yeah.
awesome. No, that and that just shows the impact and it shows other people that like, if you stick with something and
Mhm.
if you're dedicated and you're passionate and you're serious and you follow up and you do the right things, it doesn't mean it's always going to work out, but it allows
Right.
other people to know, hey, if this person can do it, I can do it, right? And then on top of that,
Mhm.
like I think there is this yearning for authenticity right now in our
Yeah.
society. People want
Mhm.
to hear from authentic people. I think for so long, our lives we've been forced these people who are superficial, and
Yeah.
they've been made up, and it's just very difficult. So um and again, so I've met you through various ways. I think we met the NAACP when I was briefly
Yeah.
a part of the NAACP locally.
Yeah.
And again,
And
going back to
listen,
truth.
I remember, hold on, while we talking about that, let me just
Yeah, yeah,
say,
yeah,
I said I knew Payron was about that life. When we was at the last banquet, this is my
yeah,
last year sitting as chair,
yeah.
right, of the education committee. But when
That's
we
right.
did that last banquet and you got on stage
And look,
and you tell them how you felt.
you know what's crazy about that? So, and I've briefly touched on this show like maybe a year ago. But what I was saying at the moment, so this is the NAACP with the Unity banquet,
Hmm.
and they're basically the yearly banquet. And I knew it was during an election year, and I talked about how everybody needs to register to vote, blah blah. But then I did lead into the history of the moment that we're in. And I said that
Hmm.
we are in a burn the sheets moment. And most people are like,
Hmm.
burn the sheets moment. What does that mean? And I said, if you guys remember Django, I said, I remember my speech. I said, if you remember Django, Stephen from Django, and I said Samuel Jackson should have won that Oscar. But Stephen from Django, when Calvin Candy said, make him up a bed, and Stephen, played by Samuel Jackson, said, where he gonna sleep? Who gonna burn the sheets? And I said, that like this was a long history. Lena Horne happened in Chicago when she was staying in big fancy hotels in Chicago. They had to burn the sheets. Beautiful Lena
Hmm.
Horne, right? So I said, so y'all, we're in a burn the sheets moment. I said, imagine after 8 years of an attractive, articulate, wholesome family occupying 1600 Pennsylvania Avenue. We are in a burn the sheets moment. They want to burn the White House down. They want to burn the country down. This was in 2024.
Yep.
And I remember there was this backlash, like I was crazy.
Yes.
And
I
then now,
remember.
but now look, I was
And
100% correct.
you were, and if I could just interrupt real
Yeah, no,
quick,
yeah, okay.
I was disheartened that they wanted you to apologize. And I'm like, apologize for what? For telling the truth? For telling the truth. And that's what I get upset about. Like, it's a difference if you just going out there spewing hate or
Yeah.
just being, defiant. But if you're telling the truth, you're telling the truth.
Mm.
Yeah.
And
So
very
yeah,
similar.
and that's what I said. Okay, Payron, he about that life. He for
And
real.
very similar. You recently had a post about this on Facebook. I think I commented about telling the truth and how people don't like to hear the truth. And one thing I've always stood on, I would tell everybody, you may not like me, you may not like my delivery, you may not like my face, you may not like whatever, right? But you could
Hmm.
never say Payron lied to me.
Hmm.
And if you just start from there, that he's never lied to me. I can't point out a single time he's lied to me. You have to then sit with yourself as to why you don't like this person.
That's right.
Because
That's right.
because I think again, going back to my first question, is like we're so used to being in this kind of deluge of bullshit and people who are fake and superficial. And it's like,
Hmm.
hey, I'm telling you, we're in a burn the sheets moment.
Yeah.
And y'all sitting up here with these white supremacists. And I'm telling you,
Hmm.
these people would bring their children to a lynching to watch you hang.
Hmm.
And you were sitting up here trying to make common cause with that. And we can get into that about local
Yeah.
politics. But there is the level of like, we're already past the Rubicon. We're past the line in the sand, and I think it's
Hmm.
very difficult for people to understand that because we're still operating in respectability politics. We're still operating. Well, they're not yelling. They're wearing tailored suits and they're speaking in
Hmm.
dulcet tones and they're smiling
Hmm.
at me. But I always in the book the Sum of Us no cast by Isabel Wilkerson, she talks about how in the 1940s and 1950s there'd be very nice white people that would say
Yeah.
hello to their milkman, hello
Yeah.
to their chambermaid or whatever, and then walk they happy asses down to that voting booth and pull the lever for racialized segregation.
I call them polite racists. That's what
Polite
they are.
racism. And here in Union County, there's a long history of this.
Uh-huh.
I mean, dare I say, not polite racism, but then as the years on the calendar change, it becomes this need for polite racism. Now,
Hmm.
you're Union County native, correct?
Not a native. I moved
Okay,
out here from Chicago in
okay,
2010. Hmm.
okay. So I mean, but even then, so
Yeah.
so are you're from Chicago?
Yes, that's where my roots are. But I was raised in Phoenix, Arizona. I've been all over the
I
place,
love
brother.
it though, because anytime I hear about it, I love it. Our ancestors don't miss because
Yeah.
I'm from Pittsburgh, and
Okay.
one thing about reading all these books is like you start to hear multiple cities: Detroit, Chicago, Pittsburgh, Columbus, Ohio. These were the tributaries where our ancestors, most of them during the Great Migration, when they were fleeing the noose of the South, they ran into the Billy Club of the North, but usually it's places like
Yeah.
Chicago and Pittsburgh and Philadelphia.
Mhm.
And so it's so interesting. So I'm like, man, I know your ancestors also probably made that trek. So it's just
Yes.
like it's in our DNA to survive. It's in our DNA to fight fascism. This is why I don't listen to when people are like, it's about class, not race. It's like, well, who do you think was doing the lynching? It was the
Right.
it was the low class white people.
Yeah.
Who do you think was keeping us on the plantation? It was the
Yeah.
poor white. You put them on a horse. You give them a gun. You say keep that gun trained on these niggas, and then you'll never be rich like me. And it's the same thing over and over again. So we're in a modern era, I think, Selena, that people are, I think, almost allergic to the truth. What do you
Hmm.
think about this, and how do you combat that?
Just by speaking the truth and holding people accountable. I don't have a lot of conversations with a lot of people. And if you tell me something, because I'll sit down with anybody. I probably had a Klansman at my kitchen table before. I ain't gonna lie to you. But the
Yeah, yeah,
thing is, if I sit down and talk to you, now I gotta hold you accountable.
right,
I don't have to like you to sit with you. We don't even
right.
have to agree. But as a taxpayer, politically wise, as a taxpayer, and you are elected official, you are here to serve me. And I'm gonna
Mm.
hold you accountable to that. I
Well,
ain't gonna yell and scream at you. I'm gonna hold you accountable on the I hold you accountable in person. I love to have person conversations because I want to look in your eye. Or I hold you accountable publicly. But the point
right.
is, if you tell me
I'll hold you
something and
accountable.
I'm doing my best to work and with you and you do wrong, I gotta hold you accountable. And that's who, I don't care who you are.
Right, right. So how does that work? I mean, because I think there's a level of like, I think we're almost going into full peak whiteness in this country. This
Mhm.
country, I think those who are holding on to the sickness of whiteness, because again, whiteness is a made up construct. It is not real. They made up race within. All right, we're all humans, but unfortunately we live in a racialized society. So but we're at a point where I think they're feeling like that grip on society is starting to slip, right?
Mhm.
They've seen one too many black mermaids, they've seen a black Captain America, they've seen a woman take this position, their new boss is gay or whatever, and they just can't I can't take this.
Their
So
time
we're
is coming to an end.
their time is
And
coming
and
to an
with
end.
and with anybody, of course that's gonna be hard. Of course
It
that's gonna be
is. That's right.
difficult. Your power is slipping from your hands,
What you
but
gonna
your
do
time
about
is
it?
up.
What you
Yeah.
gonna do? So I mean, because I think when I have these conversations, and I think what we see is their anger, and their anger, of course, then becomes violence. But what I always say about anger is rooted in fear.
It is.
It's
It
very
is.
rare. It's very rare that you're angry, that you're also not fearful of something. And
Mhm.
they've always been afraid of us, right?
Mhm.
I've always told people, like, when they say, "Well, y'all ain't saved," and blah blah. I'm like, black folk, Africans were saved in Africa, right? Like we us being here saved this country,
Yeah.
right? Like if they didn't traffic us over here, and then sadly and terribly put us through the transatlantic slave trade, and then rape our women, dismember our people, burn us with branding our face, cauterizing our genitalia, all this torture,
Evil.
this
Wicked.
country wouldn't exist. So
Hmm.
every time they see us in public in 2026, it's a reminder that white supremacy ain't supreme.
It sure is not. There's nothing supreme about it. You know what
So
I
how so
mean?
how so how is so and recently, and this is probably giving some tea away. The recently, inside of one of the groups on Facebook that we're in, we're not.
Hmm.
I don't think you're in it, but um, in one of the groups, there was a white lady who was
Hmm.
saying that um, I live in rural Union County, and in
Hmm.
rural Union County, um, there's a lot of my neighbors that are MAGA, and they might be racists, they might be bigots, they might be xenophobes and homophobes and whatever, but that doesn't mean they're bad people. And I think this level of naivete, this level of milk toast politics is why we are here. Because again, going back to it, we've always been revolutionaries, Black people. We've always
Mhm,
fought for our humanity, and they've never had to do that. So I think
mhm.
there's this kind of atrophy in that muscle. What are your thoughts on the, as Martin Luther King was called them, the white liberal, the white moderate? Because that's
Woo!
the biggest obstacle in our fight.
Listen, that was one of the reasons why I left the Democratic Party. I said
Come
they
on,
they just as wicked as the conservative ones, and that's what
talk
made me
about it.
become unaffiliated. To be
Mhm.
honest with you, because my heart is pure in this work. You know what I
Come on,
mean?
come
My
on.
priority is to save Black youth. You know, and
Mhm.
if you call yourself an ally, but secretly stabbing me in my back, you just as bad as my enemy. You again, you're a polite racist. And
Mm,
so that was one of the reasons why I left the Democratic Party. And I was unapologetic about that. You know, I
right,
expressed how I felt.
right.
You know, so that's like politically speaking, for me, I can't speak for everybody else.
No,
Being unaffiliated was best for me
that's right.
because I get to choose who I feel like best represents me. And so, yes, some of our liberal allies, they can be as wicked and as devilish as our bigots.
Mm.
So that's where we at with that.
Well, I mean, we just seen the case of Nolan Wells, and I think one thing I've had to explain to my son, I think right when the Nolan Wells case broke, about like why being the only Black person surrounded by white people, there's always a heightened sense of danger, right? Our cortisol levels are crashing, the adrenaline levels are rising. You know, the hair. I mean, your head's on a swivel, right? It's not that you
Mhm,
think you may die, but you want to make sure that you will survive,
mhm.
and there is, and I've had a few guests on about it, and I've asked them about this. There is a certain level of insanity that we have as Black people, because having the talk with our children, just having the talk with my son and my daughter, saying that you can't do this, and yeah, you'll see that white boy, that white girl do that, and blah blah blah. There's a level of psychosis that we have because it's like we're choosing to cohabitate with our abusers. That's a choice that we're choosing to. Hey, you know, if we gonna stay here because our ancestors in the dirt and blah blah blah, there's a level of like we're also experiencing this, right? So like, but the thing is, they don't have to do any of that. All they can do is say, "I'm a Democrat," and therefore that
Yeah.
absolves me of racism. But again, and this is, I remember right before I was finishing being chair of the Democratic Party, I went to a meeting for the Democrats, and of course, it's Black people. It was like breakouts. There'll always be like Black folks. They're like, we always gonna congregate at the lunch
Yeah.
table. And I remember this Black woman, she's in Charlotte, and she was like, "So how's it going?" I was like, "You know, I'm not gonna run for. I'm done after this. I had like a month left." And she was like, "You ain't gonna do it again?" I was like, "No, I'm out." I kind of explained some of the stories, the internalized racism within the Democratic Party locally, what I experienced. And she said, and this older lady sitting next to this sister, older sister. She, I remember she had this flowing white hair, it was beautiful. And she looked at me and she says, "No one ever asked you how you doing."
Mm,
And the thing is, no one had ever asked me how I was doing until that exact moment.
mm.
And I
Yep.
said, "No, ma'am, no, ma'am."
I
She
can
said,
see that. I can see that.
"Oh man, that broke me almost because it's so like they don't get it, and they're just like, well, America treats me like this, it must treat you like this," and it's like, no,
It-
it doesn't. And y'all
It's
are also,
either
yeah, I'm sorry,
it's either they don't get it or they don't care. Is how I
mm,
feel.
yeah,
And more than likely they don't care because they really still honestly are fighting for their position. If you
that's
want to
right,
be honest,
that's
you
right,
know, they still trying to hold on to theirs.
mm,
So it's not I believe they do care. They just trying to hold on to their part of their supremacy as well.
mm,
And again, my problem with the Democratic Party is they didn't want to listen to the people on the ground.
mm-mm.
They want to listen to the people in the meetings in the boardrooms. I'm
The,
like, y'all not even on the ground to hear what the people saying.
the,
And I'm coming
the,
to you, and this is both black and white.
yeah,
I'm coming to you. I'm telling you what your community is saying, but you're not listening. Instead, you want to fight me. I didn't understand that. I did not understand that to save my life. And I understand it now. You know what
right,
I
right,
mean? That I'm
right,
walking on this journey or whatever. Half of us
mm-hmm,
are scared to tell the truth. Half of us are scared to be unapologetic.
mm-hmm.
So it's not until one of our white brothers or sisters sign off on something that they feel comfortable saying it, you know? And we have to quit being colorblind. I One of the most
Absolutely.
disingenuous thing to me is when somebody say I don't see color. I'm
Come
like,
on.
how you not gonna see color? Let's just be real. I understand you want to see the character of somebody, but excuse me, I was about to cuss, and
Oh,
I'm working
this is
on that.
this is a French. We speak French quite fluently here, so no reason to ever need to excuse it.
But it's just so disingenuous to say that I don't see color. That's a lie. When I see a Payron, I see a black man. You know
Hmm.
what I mean? When I
Hmm.
see Sally, I see a white woman. When
Right.
I see my brother Hector, I see a Hispanic, Latino, whatever you want to call
Right.
yourself, man. So
Right.
stop being disingenuous and saying I don't see color. That's a lie. Now I feel like you're a liar. Just
Mm.
because just because you know you can still value somebody on their character, but you can still
Absolutely.
be honest that you see their color. And I think black people, we have gotten so colorblind with our leadership, it has hurt us. It is okay. That was
Mm.
one of the things that I had to fight for. It is okay to say my priority is black children.
Come on.
Hell, I'm a black mother. That
Come
is
on.
my priority. Not that I don't care about the other kids. When
Right.
I say I love children, the
Right.
mother in me loves children.
Come
But
on.
right now, my priority is black children. It's our babies that's being murdered by the hand of their peers. It's our babies that's being locked up in the prison by this
Come on.
wicked system.
Come on.
So, as a black mother,
Hmm.
my priority is to our black children, and not only to our black children, to our black men, to
Hmm.
our black sisters. I am
Hmm.
unapologetically black, and
That's right.
any ally who don't understand that, they're not an ally of mine.
Well, 2 points there. So one is there is this aspect of like we have a very complicit black leadership to the status quo.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that is because of the amount of comfort in reading Kara's comment here on the screen. We are too damn excuse me, they are too damn comfortable with where they're at. I
Absolutely.
said what I said. And that was the one of the biggest things for me to jump over when I as the chair of the Democratic Party is talking to a lot of suburban white women who honestly have never had to fight for anything, or white people have never had to fight for anything. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
like, there's no landmark Supreme Court decision that got white people some, amount of humanity, right? They've always been centered. And I think that's very difficult for them is to be able to say, well, we're all in this fight together. It's like, no, who's your Nolan Wells?
Yeah.
Who's your Tamir Rice? Who's your
Mm-hmm.
Trayvon Martin? Who is your LaMonica McIver? Who are these people that you have? We're all in this together. This
Mm-hmm.
system steps on all of us the exact. Now it does. The system does step on all of us. That is true. It doesn't step on us all the same way with the same pressure.
Correct.
And they
Correct.
want to sit there and take positions of leadership and tell you you're being too radical or don't talk about this and blah blah blah. There are people out here who y'all are sitting with that don't want me to vote. And
Yeah.
if you don't want me to vote, you don't want me to live.
And you know what's so crazy? It's a black person. I ain't gonna say his name.
Hmm.
That said I was too, and at first I took it negatively. He was like, "You too radical." I'm like, "Well, what am I doing that's so radical? All
Wow.
I'm doing is telling you the truth." But I
Wow.
guess maybe the truth is radical, and
It
I didn't
is.
realize that.
It is. I think I'm on a very similar journey. I mean, I think I'm right there with you, kind of as because what it is, we're actually unpacking.
Uh-huh.
We're unpacking our whole life that has been forced down our throats and indoctrinated into us. And George Washington chopped down a tree and couldn't tell a lie. Neighbor, all these things. And they were like, hold on. If I'd have told you, would George Washington be George Washington if on his 10th birthday he was gifted 11 human beings?
Ooh.
What would that do for your ability to work? Right? If I could sit all day and imagine up a constitution, all these things. If I had 10, 11 people work, imagine like doing your job, doing your house care, cooking. All you got to do is just now think and
Right.
just go on and just pontificate. You have 11 people. For you, Selena, if you had 11 people, 11,
And you ain't doing a damn thing.
you were
Like you
doing
said,
nothing
all you gotta
besides
do is
just
time to think.
being in theory, just I just one day, if we just maybe, and then by the time he died, had over 200. So like it's the unpacking and unlearning of what we've been taught is the norm. Because
Mm.
even when people say things like, "Oh, traditional," blah blah blah, I always push back on that. And I say, "Well, whose traditions? Whose
You're
traditions?
right. You're right.
Because this language I'm speaking is not mine. This religion that most of us practice is not ours. The
Yep.
ways of speaking, the ways of dressing, none of this is ours. So whose value is? It's almost like we're being you having peer pressure from ghosts. That's what's
And
happening. I'm
it
sorry. Go ahead.
is. And why no, 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 you're fine. And while we're on that too, I
Yeah,
just want to make it clear to whoever's watching this.
yeah,
If
yeah,
you consider yourself in leadership, especially black leaderships, I'm talking to you.
yeah.
Stop being so comfortable. That's why we're in this position now. And for those who gatekeep, you are worse than white supremacists because
Mm,
you know better.
that's right.
You know better. You've experienced it. You've seen it because I'm sure you're in a lot of rooms with a lot of people and you know it.
Mm,
But your fear allows you to stay quiet. Your comfortable positions keep you in
mm,
place,
mm-hmm,
and them little grant dollars. You know what I'm
mm,
saying? One of the things that I realized about Union County, I fought hard for funding, okay? And it's probably best that I didn't get it. But I fought hard because I was doing the work. Brother,
mm-hmm,
I don't passed out doing this goddamn work. I don't lost my house doing this work. I don't got my doors kicked in by the police and sheriff department by doing this work.
mm, mm.
And I'm a taxpayer. I own a home and I'm a taxpayer. So I felt like I deserve funding for my work because I'm doing the work. But then you have gatekeepers who fight each other for nickels and dimes because that's all they giving us.
That's
I
right.
don't see them giving these white organizations hundreds of thousands of dollars, okay? Hundreds of thousands of dollars while we fighting for nickels and dimes. All I
Niggas.
asked for was 10 G's. And
Mm.
you know that ain't gonna take you no damn
Ain't
where.
nowhere,
But at
right?
least it would have took me enough where I could have fed some of my brothers, done some, you know what I'm saying?
And what was the
Gave
program?
back
What was the program you were asking the funds for?
for a de-escalation program
Mhm,
for gun violence. I
mhm,
believe in conflict resolution and de-escalation because half of this stuff our community's going through, brother, we could talk this stuff out. But it
mhm,
takes you to be on the ground. If you're not connected to the people, I don't care what program you got, it ain't gonna work because you're not connected to the people. And
mm,
so they fought the establishment.
mhm.
I don't know who they are, black, white, or whoever you
Yeah, yeah.
are.
Mhm.
The establishment fought me so hard, and all I'm trying to do is a good thing because violence don't affect just it affects society as a whole.
That's right.
Eventually, if we want to talk about class, eventually they're gonna come after your ass. You ain't gonna
Absolutely.
continue to pour, you ain't gonna continue to rob nobody poor. You know
Mm-mm,
what I'm saying?
mm-mm.
So if
Right.
you if Union County got out of this racist gatekeeping thinking,
Mhm.
they would gravitate to new ideas, new concepts. And I believe it's time to let our youth lead. A lot of
Absolutely.
these people's in position, excuse me, they're our elders. It's
Mhm,
time for you to sit down and pour into the young. You know what I mean? Quit
mhm.
being greedy and trying to hold on to this power. And that's another thing. When I came in, they made me feel like such an outsider because I didn't live here, because I didn't have no family roots here.
Right,
But that
right.
doesn't mean that my love and my passion wasn't pure.
That's
You know what
right.
I mean? Because them little babies that I see getting murdered or going to prison, it felt like one of my babies. So I
Mm.
ain't gotta be here, homegrown here, to care about our people.
Never do. Uh-oh, uh-oh. Think we might have lost Selena. She was, you know, they got her. The government got her. Okay, she's back. Okay, they got her. She was on a heater. They were like, they said, turn off Selena X. Turn her off. Okay.
Yeah, because that's one of the things that bother me. And as far as political, I feel like that's what separated our black churches. I ain't gonna name no names, but you got people in high positions sitting in high places, and you know why they fighting? For politics. And I'm like,
Mhm.
that's crazy.
Right.
You losing touch of the spirit in your people. And I don't play
Mhm.
when it comes to the spirit either. That's
Mhm.
why I don't fight for a lot of different causes, but I
Mhm.
don't fight them either. It's just not my fight. You know what I'm
Mhm.
saying? And
Mhm.
so black people got caught up in the money and the politics that it divided us, where all of us are getting our ass whooped. We ain't got time to be
Mm.
fighting each other for things that
Mm.
don't even matter, for real, for real.
No,
Sorry,
you're
I got on
right.
my tangent.
No. This is a tangent positive area. It's one thing about as I told you in the email and I sent it like that. We started talking, we talking right, but no, I heard this phrase a few months ago and it stuck with me. It said that because people were asking what happened in the '60s, we had all these black leaders, and and the person responded with, well, we used to have black leaders, but now we have leading blacks.
Mm,
Right? It
that's
sticks because
powerful.
you're like, damn, that is true. Because all the people, I mean, and most recently and kind of the social media sphere, we had the discussion around Jay-Z and him finger wagging at people that, oh, y'all boycotting Target, but you're not boycotting. It's like, listen, black people have no institutional power.
Nope.
You're a billionaire. You are closer to what a Donald Trump wants than Selena or Payron, right?
Mhm.
We actively care about our people, and if you're telling us that you're of them, or we can talk anybody else, right? I'm sure we all have a laundry of people in our minds, of people that are willing to. And even my time as a chair, I remember there was a local leader that turned to me and was like, "Well, look how they know my name." And then vote to take away support for the black community that same day. I remember that. And I was just like, we're not serious. There's
Mhm.
still this, sir, can I sit at the table versus,
Yeah.
and we had a guest on last week on Sunday, actually. And he said, very similar to what you said, that people like to say, we need to pass the baton to the next generation. Very similar to what you said. But
Mhm.
his point was, we shouldn't pass the baton to the next generation. Get your own. You need to get your
Uh,
own new baton. Get your
got
own
you.
new
That, you
baton.
know what? That makes sense. That makes sense. That makes sense. And that's why I had to create my own table.
There you
I mean,
go.
because it
Right.
makes sense, because I got involved into all of these different committees, you know what I mean? Because I felt like that's where you might grow your reach. But I was like, shit, we ain't doing nothing at these committees, at these tables. Ain't doing a
Nothing.
damn thing but
Nothing.
talking and coming up with solutions that ain't nobody implementing. So,
Come on.
that is a great point. That is actually a great point.
I'll say,
You're
well,
right.
he's right. He's like, because the thing about oppression, what it does, it is that it captures your ability to imagine. And even right now, the conversations that people are having, the left versus right, Democrat versus Republican, Trump and Biden, whoever, right? Trump and Kamala, whatever, it doesn't matter. What it is this system is violent.
It is.
It's a
It
violent
is.
system. And the way I try to show my white compatriots out there that believe themselves to be this, I'm more progressive than you, parent. Okay, you love this country, right? You love America. I do love this country. Okay. Do you believe that slavery was necessary for this country to exist, for you to love this country? And they'll
Ooh.
say, yeah. Well, I mean, well, no, it was terrible. But so you're saying my ancestors needed to be raped and
Uh,
their children stolen from them and forced to dance and to wear jingle bell collars and to wear muzzles and to be out in the field and they say they would work you from the time you could stand until the time your skin was gray and you fell into a shallow grave. You're telling me all that was necessary for you to enjoy this Honda Civic? Come on.
Cause they really truly believe that. I remember when
They
I was
do.
working in the OR, right? It was this white nurse, and I considered her a friend, or not a friend, but we were close or whatever. And I remember, I've always been myself, by the way. I would go to work, wear my little African earrings or whatever.
Right.
And I remember her saying, and I got so pissed. She was like, well, the Jews had it worse. They were in, I said, how can you compare
You can't.
tragedies? You know what I'm
You
saying?
can't even do
But
it.
but Jewish people are allowed to be unapologetic in their suffering, as to
Right.
whereas they want us to quiet ours down, and it's just so unfair. But again, we're living in a wicked and unfair society.
There you go. Right.
So yeah.
Well, I think even to that note, and I know, I mean, we kind of ran along with this portion, so I'm not gonna keep you here for too much longer. But like, so you recently converted to Islam, right?
Mhm.
And there's people out, and there's this big discussion right now, right? I've got Mahmoud Khalil on my shirt, who was a political prisoner of this country, who was recently released, missed the birth of his daughter for
Mhm.
speaking out against this country and its complicity within a genocide. Right now, the conversation is becoming between, of course, Muslims versus Jews, and this is a
Mhm.
2,000, 8,000, 25,000 year battle. It actually was the Jewish dinosaurs versus the Islamic dinosaurs. It's ridiculous, right? It's
Mhm.
ridiculous. And I think to the exact point of you saying, well, why Jewish people, specifically Ashkenazi Jewish people, because there's Sephardic and there's Mizrahi Jews who are like from Morocco and from Africa, who we are not talking about. They're not talking about those people. They're talking about the European type.
Mhm.
The reason why is because they look white.
Yeah,
And they
I
are
agree.
white. I think they are white. And now some people are like, well, they're not white. You could challenge that too. When you go fill out a job application or a college or a loan application, what box you checking? They
That's
ain't
true.
checking, I'm not white. They're checking white. I want the
That's true.
privilege that comes with being a white person in this damn country. I'm
That's true.
white. When I call the cops on you, my whiteness is calling the cops on you. When those slave catchers come and they say, this nigga did it, I'm using my whiteness to do that.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
it's really hard for people to get that because, oh, it was so sad. It was sad. But, and was it Isabel Wilkerson again, as she was in Germany talking to folks about like, well, the official numbers of the Holocaust were 6 million. How can you say slavery was that? And she pauses, the person says, there is no official number for us. It's so many people. There is no official number. It's in the hundreds at least the tens of millions.
Yeah, and then they want us to shut up and get over it. Shut up and
Please,
get over it when we're still
please.
going through it. It's just, yeah. Well, you're an American. You're supposed to get over that. How can you get over that? That
Right.
trauma's still running through our blood. And so
Epigenetic.
when people talking about get over it, that's the best way to piss me off.
It
Get
is.
over it.
It
We
is.
still we still feeling the effects of it.
I mean, we're still finding black men hanging from trees. Nolan Wells, Cohen, what's that young boy? Cohen Wiley, that 1-year-old shot in a parking lot in Mississippi. You know, like we're still fighting.
And
Carmelo
those
Anthony.
And Payron, those are the stories that you know of. Me
That's
being in
right.
this work, there's
Come
a
on.
lot of stories that a lot of people don't know.
That's right. That's
Mississippi
right.
going through it. You hear me?
Mm-hmm.
I
Mm-hmm.
remember I was on the call and there was talking about a brother who ran into a police department looking for help. He said, if anything happened to me, my employers or somebody did it. The police wouldn't help him. Sure enough, they found him with his head cut off. So it's a whole bunch of stories,
My
y'all,
God.
that you don't even hear about. And that's what kind of opened my eyes to all of this because before I moved here to North Carolina. Again,
Yep.
I was raised in Phoenix, Arizona.
Mm-hmm.
That's where I did my fundamental raising. So I was raised around diversity, white,
Right. That's
Hispanic,
right.
all of that,
Right.
But moving to Monroe, North Carolina,
It'll teach you some.
taught me a whole lot. They put some south in my mouth
Yeah.
because I was one of them black women. You can do anything. Ain't nobody stopping you. You're stopping yourself. And that's when God humbled me when I tried to open up my daycare. And that's what threw me into politics because they threw so much red tape at me because they did not want me to open it up.
Mm.
I remember writing Obama. I remember writing who was the governor at that time, right before Cooper. Anyways, and that's when I started getting into city council and getting to know the members because I'm like, y'all know this ain't right, y'all. They kept denying me my permit. I remember when that white fire chief, because one of the white guys that helped me install the fire alarm, he was like, you should be good, Miss Campbell. Everything should be good. I said, no. He told me I still can't open. He was like, no, that can't be right. I was like, he said, I still can't open my door. So he went outside to talk to the fire chief. That fire chief looked at him in his eyes, chewing tobacco and spit and said,
Mm.
stay out of it.
Mm.
Told him to stay out. And that's when my eyes opened. I said, oh, this is what they talking about with systematic racism. I didn't get it. To me, that was all like a catchphrase. I didn't. So when I say I'm not no scholar to this stuff. I'm about to cuss again. Help me.
It's
I'm
all
not a
right.
scho- I'm not a scholar to
Hey,
this.
hey,
I'm
fuck
not
that
no
shit.
historian. I'm not no religious. Like when I say this is all authentic and organic, that's what it is. It's just from experience. And
Yeah.
Monroe, North Carolina, they got a lot of healing to do. And until they heal and do our fair share of sharing our history, there should be no way none of us should not know about Robert F.
Well,
Williams.
there's a reason why.
Of course.
Like they can't. The thing is, no, I mean, like Selena, they can't do that because again, going back to their original lie of whiteness, the idea that, and then their great men, the George Washington, the reason why they can't say anything about the history of Monroe or the history of black history is because it would belie their own ideology, right? Because
Mhm.
if Robert F. Williams to go get justice for black people, if justice means picking up a gun like
Yeah,
Harriet Tubman or Nat Turner, like we can't uplift that, even though
that's
your
true.
ancestors, even though their ancestors did it, they took up
Love
arms,
guns.
they took up arms against the British,
Hmm.
right? We celebrate the 4th of July because your ancestors picked up guns against their oppressors.
Hmm.
But what I said after Juneteenth, I said we're in a 2-week liberation corridor between Juneteenth and the 4th of July. Because if the 4th of July is you versus the British and Juneteenth is us versus you, how does a country reconcile that?
Yeah,
How do you
yeah,
reconcile that?
yeah,
And they
yeah.
can't. So what they say is we can't put Harriet Tubman on the $20 bill because if a little white girl's gonna ask, well, mommy, who is this person on the $20 bill? Well, she escaped captors and people were held captive, mommy. Yeah, and some of the first 16 presidents were holding slaves too.
It's
They
too
don't have
much
a
explaining. Yeah.
they don't have a smooth narrative that they're always innocent because one thing about whiteness, as I just showed my son after he turned 11, the movie Malcolm X or to Selina X, is that when he was in prison with Brother Baines and he's reading the dictionary, the scene that I'm sure we all remember, and he's reading about white and what are the words they have associated with white? Pure,
Purity. Yeah,
innocent,
yeah,
right? So
yeah.
whiteness must always be innocent. America must always be innocent because the only people in this country that America has ever been synonymous with is white people, as
Mhm.
Toni Morrison says. The rest of us have to be hyphenated. You're
Yeah.
African American, you're Latino
Mhm.
American, you're Asian American. American has only been white. And what is white? White is innocent.
Yeah.
So you can't indict me with your truth about my history as a white person because I can't unpack all that. And I don't want to. And that would make me the villain of someone else's story, which I cannot be.
Teach.
So it's just so but I did at least touch on this before we head out of here is this kind of fight between the supposedly the Muslims and Jewish people and we're seeing that on a larger clearly on an international perspective. I mean, it's getting people locked up like Mahmoud
Yeah.
Khalil and we're seeing a genocide.
Mhm.
Um, right now though I think there's still this inability of the white liberal class to see that the racial component of all this, right?
Yes, I
It's
agree.
hard for them to see like, well, brown people are supposed to be killed,
It's
right?
terrible.
But
Yeah.
like, but black people are supposed to die. This is where sometimes when I say like white supremacy harms them too, because if you're conditioned to always see black and brown people murdered, shot, blown up with bombs, but you've never seen yourself, right? They've never seen themselves anytime there's white violence is pixelated or it's obscured, our bodies are shown. We've seen the George Floyd kneeling, Mike Brown shot, and those it's meant to condition us to get you to expect that. But now the world is saying these folks have gone crazy.
Listen,
So
and I want to
as
and
a
I want to
recent,
be
yeah,
and I want to be clear on this.
yeah,
Again,
yeah,
my journey in Islam is very new, but what I
mm,
can say, this
mm,
has been one of the most peaceful religions that I have
mm.
ever studied and
Come
been
on,
around. They never talk about killing
come
or
on.
harming their brother or sister. Actually, Islam means peace.
That's right.
And
It
they have
does.
been the most peaceful. And so moving out here with this deep Christianity and all of this,
Hmm.
I'm like, it is disgusting how they
Mm.
treat their brothers of different faith. It is so disgusting to me. And that's coming from a pure place. You hear
Right,
me?
right,
And
right,
that's what made me join Islam because I
right.
see more destruction,
Hmm.
more crime,
That's right.
more envious and jealous behavior. Hate to say it, y'all, from Christianity than I ever have from my Muslim brothers and
Well,
sisters.
no one has a body count like Christianity.
Mhm.
I believe as Jane Elliott says, if you look at the maps of the world and you look at the spread of Christianity and the spread of colonialism, it's a one for one. It's the spread of, because it don't we can't forget in 1492 Christopher Columbus sailed the ocean blue, but in 1493, the very next year, it was the Pope. It was the Pope who sent out the doctrine of discovery, which was a papal bull to say, if they're not Christians, you can take their land, you can kill them, you can genocide them, you can do whatever. You can take the resources, and they came to the Ivory Coast, where a lot of our ancestors came from. And they said, look at all these heathens, because they're not Christian. They have different ways of living. They pray to multiple gods. They had their foods were too spicy. They made all of that illegal
Sad.
because it has to be this way. And then we forget that if you go to the National Museum of African American History and Culture in D.C., that at the bottom, have you been there yet?
I
The
have
museum?
not.
Okay, it's beautiful, but they always tell you to start at the bottom, because
Mhm.
it's like a slave ship. Like the bottom is a slave ship, then up, and how we progressed up through time and history. But in that bottom part, they show you how 1 out of 3 enslaved people who were trafficked that made it here, that survived the transatlantic slave trade. Because don't forget, a lot of our ancestors were either thrown over or they jumped off the boats, which changed the migration patterns of sharks
Mhm.
for years afterwards. That's how many people survived. But 1 out of 3 enslaved people that made it to these shores were Muslim.
Wow.
1 out of 3 enslaved people were Muslim. Now, the other 2/3, they had their own practices, their own religions, of course, from their tribes, Yoruba, Igbo, all these different, the Ashanti. But a third of them, 1 of the 3, was a Muslim. And they don't want us to learn that, you're a Christian. There was blah, blah, blah. They found the Bible in Ethiopia. Okay, I can find a MAGA hat in China. That doesn't mean, it's just, I don't know. So, but like,
Yeah. No,
how,
listen,
how, how do
I
you view
thank
that?
you. Well, I thank you for breaking that all down. Like I said, when I say I am new to all this, I
Yeah,
am new to all of this. And one of my things, if I don't accomplish nothing else, brother,
come on.
is us coming together collectively. I don't care if you're Christian. I
Right.
don't care if you're Muslim. Matter of fact, I would love for my Christian brothers and sisters to join me more. You know?
You're not going to get it,
So
unfortunately.
yeah. So I appreciate this conversation more than you know, because not only was I able to express myself, I actually learned a lot. So I'm thankful for
Oh,
you, brother.
I look, hey girl, I just be talking. I just be talking. That's it. I just be talking. But no, it's important. It's important because we have to remember. Remembering is a form of resistance.
Yeah.
Remembering who we are. Remembering all the what we were. Our history doesn't start in no 1619. That's not where our history starts. Our history
Right.
doesn't start there. Yes, my ancestor came from Alabama, but that ancestor had an ancestor that did not come from
Important.
Alabama. They came from
Hmm.
somewhere else. Oh, our history is thousands of years old. Don't forget the aqueduct and all these things in Rome and Greece, and the philosophers. They went to Africa to learn that. The
That's right.
symbolism and the mathematics, that's all from us.
Teach.
So there's a
Yeah.
certain level of, like, we have to remember that, because when we have someone like these Peckerwoods and political office who are holding on to their power and privilege based on systems that they created,
Hmm.
they say, well, I'm stronger than you because I chopped your legs off. That doesn't make you tall.
That's right.
It just makes you cruel.
Yes.
And they're mad that we're trying to change this for our babies, because our babies and us and our
Yeah.
elders, we all deserve better, because damn it, we were saved, and we saved this damn country.
That's right.
All right. Selena, how can folks, first of all, this has been a fantastic conversation.
Well, thank you.
Please don't be a stranger.
Oh, absolutely
I know you
not.
got the table talks, and I ain't trying to come in, and I hit you up. I said, girl, I want to talk to you. It's been a while. But please, shamelessly promote yourself. How can folks find you? How can folks, follow your work? Any big events coming up? You got David Banner. Who's next?
Listen,
DL
so
Hughley.
you know what? I would love anybody who's willing to come sit at my table, because my goal is to get us to grow, even outside of different thinking and perspectives. You ain't gotta like whoever come on my show, but the goal is to
Right,
grow and listen.
right.
So I do have one of my table talks is coming up on August 8th. I have one of my Christian sisters coming with me, and this is for the mothers, but men
Okay,
are allowed to come, because this is a community conversation that we need to have
that's right.
about making our communities a decent and safe place to live, and our roles as mothers who
Hmm.
are raising these babies, and our responsibilities. So I need to see my community out on August 8th. It's a
August
mother's
8th.
brunch 12 to
Mm,
2, and it's going to be at Kay's Royal Palace. You can look it up. I'll send put flyers out. But it's really important that my mothers come show out because my brothers always show up for me,
mm.
including yourself. My brothers, if I make a call, they coming. Now I need my sisters to show up for me. And
Yeah,
so I really need to see y'all on August 8th. And
August
Payron,
8th.
I appreciate you from the bottom of my heart for inviting me on this show. And I hope that it is not our last
Oh, absolutely
because
not. Come on now.
like I said, my brothers, y'all the ones who've been holding me up. Whenever I fall and get a little weak and get a little tired, my brothers hold me up. And you are one of my brothers. And I appreciate you. I appreciate the work that you're doing. I appreciate that you're unapologetic. I appreciate that you are strong. And anybody who may come against you, you believe me, I may not talk much, but I can get loud when it comes against my brothers or my babies.
Well, thank you so much, Selena. I appreciate that so much. Whatever we could do here at the Radical Roots and my platform to support and to get the word out is so important. And it's very rare that we are having moments like this. I think to really try to just because we're in a moment where like again we have to have these conversations. We have
Yeah.
to.
Mhm.
Last question. I'm assuming at this brunch is a brunch, right?
It's a brunch.
Okay.
Hmm.
I'm assuming y'all gonna the title track when people walk in will be spend that.
Spend that.
Well, no, I'm joking. I'm joking. What?
Okay.
I just.
Look, you see me get close to the camera.
What are your thoughts on that? What are your thoughts on that? I might as
Li-
well just end with that. Just what are your
well,
thoughts on that
listen.
as it relates to the culture?
Culture, I think it's a catchy song. I think a lot of our young women can identify with it, but at the same time, it is hurting us. You know what I'm
Yeah,
saying?
mhm,
And I only say that because I deal with a lot of young mothers,
yeah,
and when you dealing with habits like that, you only making it harder for your babies. Your babies now gotta suffer because your ass in jail, or your babies
mm,
gotta suffer because now you got a felony. Your baby's gonna suffer, because they seeing that mentality hurt their kids.
right.
But I understand she's a young person, she got plenty of time to grow. And I'm gonna be honest with you, I was vibing to it because I'm
It's
still a little
catchy.
listen, I'm still a little holy hood. You know what I'm saying? I got a lot of work to do on myself. I ain't gonna lie to you. So that's why I don't try to I don't try to
Like admonish and all that stuff.
yeah,
Yeah.
because that ain't my place because I'm
Yeah.
still working. You know what I mean? But yeah,
Hmm.
but at the same time, we do have to admit
Yeah.
that it's hurting our babies. I'm looking at it every day in our communities,
we can
Payron.
we can ask for better. Like we can understand that's where some folks are, but just to your point of the table talk, like I get you might be a Klansman, but my goal, if you're in front of my face, you're gonna hear my voice. I'm gonna demand more of you for
Absolutely.
our shared collective humanity.
Absolutely.
Selena, thank you so much. Social media, any social media you want to put out there?
You can
Anything?
follow me on Selina Campbell or Table Talk
She hasn't changed that
Conversations.
yet. She ain't changed that yet.
We working on that though. But it's Table Talk Conversations are on my platform. Instagram. I just got Instagram. That just show you how far behind I am.
Come on now.
Instagram,
She just got a
YouTube.
MySpace page.
I told you this ain't my thing. I'm more of a worker bee. I work
Okay,
behind
all
the
right.
scenes.
Get off her back, y'all. Get off her back. Get off this black woman's back. All right. Well, it was honestly a pleasure. And again, please come on as much as you like. And this is always you'll always have a microphone open to this. And if there's just issues or something you just want to chew on, because I think we're very much of the same like mind. So let's talk about it. Let's break it down. Let's deconstruct it. Let's lay it out. What do our ancestors say? The ones that work the roots, you got to throw the bones and then look at it.
Now,
All right.
Payron, are you sure? Because I can get comfort. I tend to get some people in trouble sometimes.
Yeah,
So
listen, I've been in trouble, as you know, I've been in trouble multiple times. So let's get into some good trouble, my friend.
okay.
Thank you again, Selena. I hope you have a fantastic weekend, and
All right.
come back to the Roots Rundown whenever you get a chance.
All right. Peace.
All right, y'all, folks, that was the great Selena X, and we're gonna end this episode today. I had some clips, but we'll get to that tomorrow. I think I have a guest tomorrow too, so it's gonna be another great episode. But I hope y'all enjoyed it. The chat was very loud. I couldn't get to everything because I was trying to pay attention and trying to respond and try to write down questions or thoughts and comments. But it was a very good conversation, and I'm very excited like where this show is going. So if you guys know of somebody, if you guys have a guest that you guys want me to talk to, please either reach out to them or give me their information because this is how we build community. This is how we do it. So I want to thank you all for being a part of today's show, and we will see you all tomorrow.